What is up, guys? Troublesome here with another episode of Car Mechanic Simulator 2018. What I've got is a Gollywog mod, and it's a 1964 Chevy Impala. Now, there are two versions that he made. One is a hot rod, like a drag car, and one is just a stock car. So, what I've done is I took it to the game editor for a couple of reasons. And the main reason is because I am a lowrider fan, and the '64 Impala is like the epitome of lowrider, because you hear, well, just like NWA. Oh, that fender doesn't come up. Rolling in my 6.4. They are talking about a '64 Impala. Even stock, it's a beautiful car, but I did take it, and I did do a couple of things to it in the game editor, because I wanted it to be more lowrider. I also fixed an inaccuracy, and I'm sure the mod maker doesn't like that, but it's there was an inaccuracy with the suspension, and it's not really a huge deal, and you can't do perfect suspensions on this game because it's just not perfect. But the rear end of this car, that is the worst part about taking this interior apart, is when you're trying to get the freaking steering wheel. The rear suspension on this car was actually a trailing arm setup. It was not leaf springs. And this one was done with leaf springs. So that's what I changed. I just changed it to a trailing arm axle. Now, the other thing I did was I widened the track width, because to make it a lowrider in the sense of the word. See, this is what I did. It was lease. I changed it to coil spring with a trailing arm. It's still not perfect as far as Impalas go, but it's much closer to being accurate. Now, what was I talking about? Oh, I did lower it, and I widened the track a little bit. Here's why I widened the track. And anybody who is kind of keen to lowriding will support this decision. Anybody who's not probably hates it. I was super into lowriders in high school. I love the culture. I just love everything about it. It's really cool. So I widened the track. The reason is because lowriders typically have a 13x7 Dayton or knockoff style wire wheel on them. 13x7, as you know, is tiny, but it was part of the original culture back in the 50s and 60s, whenever the lowriding started really becoming hot in California. Southern California, they couldn't lower cars. They didn't have the resources to lower cars, so they put tiny wheels on them. And they put a white wall tire called a 520. And a 520 is a super narrow bias ply tire, which bias ply is like the precursor to the radial. Bias plies don't like anything much more than like 50 miles an hour. As you can see, all this stuff here is brand new because I went and modified the car, and when you do that in the game editor, it replaces it with new. That's why this axle and all these stuff is brand new. So anyway, but like this plate and these U-bolts were already on there, so they're still in crap condition. So anyway, bias ply is what they use. Bias ply don't like high speeds. They don't like it at all. They start to wobble, carcass tries to fly apart. Then radial tires came along, and they could handle higher speeds. Well, the replacement size, dimensionally, for the 520 white wall was a 155/80/13. And if you watch my other videos, you know 155 means width, and 80 means sidewall height based on the percentage of the width. So 155 is a freaking skinny tire that is really meant for like a 6-inch wide, 13-inch wheel. Oh, there's one thing I didn't fix. You can see how much I lowered it by how bad the drive shaft's out of alignment. So the 155/80 is meant for like a 5 or 6 inch wide 13-inch wheel. Well, the wire wheels that these guys, or the old Krager, or the classic Lowrider 5-spoke wheel that these guys were putting on these things, were 7 inches wide because they were more of a, I don't know, kind of a hot rod tire. Dayton's weren't, but the Kragers were. So they get a 13-inch by 7. And to put this 520 on it, or to put a 155/80 on it, you really have to stretch it. So the track, so the tread is in the center, and then the sidewalls will flex out to meet the bead of the tire, or the rim. So what that does is it pulls the tread even closer to the rim, if that makes sense. So it makes them even lower. It makes them even lower profile, basically, is what it boils down to. Well, you can't do wheel width on here. All you can do is tire width, and then the wheel automatically matches it. Well, one thing about the reverse wheels is it would put the wheel, by reverse I mean just a really negative offset that would come out to the really negative offset that would come out close to the fender. Well, you can't. Okay, so like I said, you can't do that on this game. You basically have no choice but to put. You can do a 155/80, and you can do but it will match the rim to the width. So the rim is narrow, which makes the tire narrow, which makes the sidewalls not bulge like they do on the classic Lowrider look. So it's not exactly accurate. Well, if you leave the standard width and a 155/80 13 on this, and my wire wheel selection is 1, and it's not the right kind of wire wheel, but it's close enough. If you leave it on there, the wheels are way sucked into the fender, and they don't sit right. They don't sit where they would on a Lowrider. So for all the people that I'm pissing off after I'm done with this and you see what it looks like, it's not going to be perfect, but go Google a 64 Impala Lowrider and just look at some of the pictures of the ones with wire wheels and 13s, and go look at the specs of them. They'll be 13 by 7s. Some guys use 14 by 7s because they use them on the road more, and that gives you essentially it gives you a better gear ratio, so you're not having to run the engine so hard to get up to highway speeds. Because in the LA, they got the freeways and stuff, and if some of these guys lived away from the cruising strips, they would drive them out on the interstates with these 13-inch tires, and it's just maddening. So that steering rack goes right through the middle. So anyway, I did widen the track. The reason that I widened the track is so that the car would look right from kind of the side and from an angle. The 13s sit where they're supposed to sit. Now, they do not sit where they would sit if you put like the stock wheels back on here. It would be all jacked up. I assure you, that part is not accurate. They actually clip through the through the fenders because they're sticking out too far. So that's what it is. Any lowrider guys out there, like real life lowrider guys out there, hit that like button, will you? Just hit the like button to confirm accuracy of what I'm doing here, because I know that there are going to be some butt hurts out there. And if I could do the stretched 155/80, I would, but I can't. So what we're doing here is as close to as accurate as we can possibly get. I gotta get these body panels because on these mods they don't repair like they do in the regular. My dear Lord, look at how pricey some of this stuff is. Woo! Alright, so there's a street rod version, as you can see here. And then there's the Then there's the stock version. I don't see much difference in the parts, but I'm just gonna go with what I know. Okay, so we're just throwing these body parts on. All the new ones that I bought, they were freaking expensive, man. Like $2,000 for this, $1,700 for that. Hurt. But the '64 Chevy is an icon when it comes to low riding. You know, and I don't know if the mod maker is a lowrider buff or if he's just a classic car buff or what, but I couldn't get my hands on a '64 Chevy and not do a lowrider project on it. I'm sorry. I am sorry. Hashtag sorry, not sorry. Alright, it's got Romania plates on it. Okay, not sure what color we're going to do yet, but what I am going to do is go ahead and put the bottom back together. Now this is a Super Sport 409. Now, one way you can tell Super Sport from a non-Super Sport is this chrome strip right here. It will go all the way back off the back, like so. The non-Super Sport, this chrome strip goes down and then it curves and goes around and follows this body line back up. And then there were Biscaynes and Bel Airs, and the Bel Airs and Biscaynes typically only had 4 taillights, not 6. This middle one would be gone and it would just be a filler. So that's kind of quick crunch education on Impala bodies. They also had a different top, they had a flat top and stuff, the Biscaynes and Bel Airs. I really don't know what the difference between those two was. One was, I think, cheaper, but they were basically the po man's version of the Impala. The Impala was the extraordinary. Yeah. Now, way back in the day, I used to have a Blazer, like an 88 S10 Blazer with hydraulics and 13-inch wire wheels and white walls. Juiced. And I had some buddies with some Impalas. I had one buddy with a 64, and then another buddy that had a 68. Convertible. I knew a couple guys through association with like 62s and stuff. But I never had one. Closest thing I had to a 64 Impala was a 74 Buick Electra, which is not the same. It's a 4-door, and it's a beast. It is a freaking beast. When I was doing the suspension work on this one, I thought about doing a real high in the front suspension so it looked like it had hydraulics, but then I was like, well, it'll just be fixed like that. It'll be stupid. Plus, this doesn't work with this, you know, the raising and lowering doesn't work with suspension geometry like hydraulics would do. It actually works with freaking moving the cross member up and down. So that cross member hanging down like a lifted independent front suspension truck would look kind of stupid too.
Later.
Here we are getting tires, going with the 155/80/13 vintage white wall C. I don't really like how the white wall is so close to the black, sorry, to the rim center on that, because it just makes the rim look bigger. I don't really like the fat white wall on this one. I like a thinner white wall, but and this vintage B is just obnoxious. It would be more for like a bomb, which is like a 50s car. Okay, so I got the retro rim 12 13-inch. It's a wire wheel. It's not the ideal wire wheel, but it is a wire wheel. So, and then I got this 155/80/13 tire here. That sucker's tiny. Now, what's awesome about doing lowriders on this game is that it's very cheap to put rims on it. Like when I do my big wheel, huge craziness, those freaking things are expensive. So, take a look when it's on the balancer. It's just, oh shit. It's just skinny. It's not stretched. If I knew how to overlay images, I would, but I don't, so I won't. Just Google Dayton on 155/80 or something like that, and you'll see what I'm talking about. It's a weird look, but it's pretty freaking rad, I think, for what it is. Now, it's not practical. It's the most impractical thing in the world. Well, not the most, but one of the most impractical things in the world. But for the flavor of the mod, that's not what I want to do. For the flavor of the modification to a car, doing the lowrider style, this is what they did, and this is what they still do. So this is what it is. Alright, I'll finish that up, and I'll come back. Okay, movie magic, I'm back. Mounted 2 of them. That, oh man, I love it. So here's why I widened the track. If you look, that's about how they sit on a lowrider, on a standard lowrider. So that's about what it looks like. Is that right there? I mean, they're freaking close to that fender well. But it's not because the track is widened. It's because the stinking tire, the rim is offset, like super deep. So, but this is, I take what I get. I take what I get. Let's throw some paint on this thing. I think it looks amazing. Now, when this comes into the paint booth, I guess they still are white walls. It's weird because the white walls like turn dark. I don't know. I don't know why that is, but that's what happens when it comes in here. So, I don't know what color to do this. I mean, lowriders can be any variety of colors. And if they're done right, they're so cool. Definitely, I'm going to go with metallic because Metal Flake is like the trademark of a lowrider paint job. I'm just going to scroll through some colors here. Turn up the saturation, deep hues. Okay, you guys like that blue? I like that blue. Let's do it. Oh, I love it. I love it. I don't know what you guys think, but I love it. Okay, I'm going to build the engine. I'm going to do this off camera. I'm going to build it, and then I'll be back. Throw it in, and then give you my final thoughts. Okay, guys, I'm done. I'm back. Here's what I did. I did this bone stock. The only thing I did differently was I put the aftermarket headers on here, the exhaust manifolds, because they're more chrome. And that's kind of what lowriding's about, is flashy. I was going to do the intake manifold, but there is no, because, it looks chrome. But there is no single barrel or single carburetor intake manifold in the performance shop, which is muy disappointing. But so I'm just going to put this in as it is and throw the transmission on, blah, 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 blah. Ooh, 409. 409. Where are the batteries? Where is the battery? Is there no battery in this car? All Alright, I guess there's not a battery in this thing. Okay, transmission on. Oh God. Transmission on, starter on, drive shaft being bolted now. Wish I would have fixed that. I didn't even have the frame of mind to. I didn't even think about it. Okay, let's see if we're 100% because I feel like there should be a battery somewhere. Global Body 77. Is that because the license plates aren't on it? License plate. Oh, interior dummy. Now, remember how I was making fun of that Diablo, like the wrappers Diablo, because it would have the obnoxious cream leather interior? Well, that was a Diablo. So that's why I don't agree. Now, some lowriders had chain wheels. I like the stock. That's kind of like a stock Impala wheel. Some guys use chain wheels on their lowriders. I think it's incredibly dangerous and ridiculous. But I'm not going to lie, there was a time in my life where I wanted one. So I'm just going to go with these cream leather seats. Hopefully I can find a bench that'll go in the back. I don't know which bench it was. Okay, the front were Atlantas, but I don't think that matters. But the rear was a Cape bench, and I don't know if I can get that. I'm going to try this one. I don't think it's going to work, but it was a front Cape bench. So it was this black one here. Oh, man. I don't think I'm going to be able to put in whatever I want. I don't want black interior. Let me just try what I got. I don't think it's going to work. Nope. Damn it. Okay, I guess we're going back with black. Honestly, this one was a good choice. As far as shape goes, it's really pretty close. That's what they used on the front. Used a front cape in the back. I might be able to use this one, but it really doesn't make any difference. I don't really know how interiors work on this game too much. Yeah, all I can use is that front bench cape. Alright, so that is what it is. Alright guys, that's the 64 Chevy Impala 409. It's with my twist on it. I'll leave the link in the description for the download for the mod. The only thing is you're not going to be able to get, you're not going to have it lowered, and you won't have the year accurate rear suspension on it. It will have leaf spring suspension, but you can go to the editor and fix that up, no problem. So let me know if you like lowriders, guys. Hit that like button. Let me know if you're totally disappointed about this build because you hate this style. I'm just curious because I love it. I think it's really cool. Let's see what this thing's worth real quick. 61,000, not bad, but I think I'm gonna keep it. Because I like it. All right, guys, that's it. Appreciate you hanging out with me. Subscribe if you're new. Drop new videos daily. I'll talk to you guys later.